Hello, and welcome to another episode of Character History, and this episode we're looking at another character that was created on an animated show and was loved so much that they introduced her into the comics, just like they did with Harley Quinn. Yes, this week we're looking at Laura Kinney, or as she is more well known, X-23. X-23 was first shown on the 2003 animated series X-Men Evolution, where Wolverine found out that he had been cloned and that his clone was on the loose, but he had no idea what else the scientists had done to her, even putting it in retractable adamantium claws in both her hands and feet, but only in those spots and accelerating her regeneration factor from a damaged genome of Logan's. The episode presented her as a person who desperately wanted to forget, but also had so much anger towards the original Logan. They left on good terms, with X-23 and Wolverine going their separate ways until they met again in the future. Of course, as we're speaking about her, she was introduced into the comics not long after X-Men Evolution finished. Her first appearance was back in NYX number 3 back in December 2003. She wasn't actually given any backstory then, but her abilities were on show for people to see. Only later on did people learn what had actually happened to this young girl. X-23 was created in a laboratory as part of the facility, trying to replicate the Weapon X program, which of course is how Wolverine came to be. However, the people in charge were having no luck in creating a successful clone, so they turned to a renowned scientist, Laura Kinney, who promised them that she would get results. After Sarah had been working with the genome, it was then that she discovered that it was damaged, realising that creating a pure clone of Wolverine was never actually going to happen. So, in an effort for the project to succeed, she tried to duplicate the gene, but even though the facility found out and stopped her, they reluctantly stepped aside as they wanted something from all of their hard work. But the director, Xander Rice, the son of the doctor that Wolverine had killed on his escape from Weapon X, ordered Sarah to carry the baby until it was born. So for 9 months, Sarah mothered the unborn clone until the day came and Laura was born. By the age of 7, she was trained in all many forms of martial arts but was not given any comfort or support as they wanted a weapon. Sarah, however, was not in this plan and read Laura books when she went to sleep, treating her as her normal girl. And this is when Rice became an even bigger asshole than his dad ever was. He used radiation therapy without anesthesia on the young girl, and then tortured her in order to find out what would trigger the ability that Wolverine and she shared, the rage trigger that Wolverine and she shared, and by the grand old age of 11, she was sold to the highest bidder as an assassin for hire. She was highly sought after for her great skills in the field, but again, Rice still wasn't happy. He accompanied her on one mission, but when it went wrong, he left her for dead. She managed to escape and get herself back to HQ, which impressed many, except Rice. Sometime later, Sarah's niece was kidnapped and she used X-23 without permission to go and save her from a child molester. Of course, the mission was a success, but this earned more of Rice's attention. In order to gain full control of the leadership of the facility, Rice ordered X-23 to kill his employer Samuels and his family by lacing the entire family's clothes with the rage trigger that would send Laura to uncontrollable rage. Laura did as she was told, but spared the doctor's son. Laura went to Sarah with the information and Sarah vowed to get Laura away from the facility. Of course, beforehand, Rice made sure he showed Sarah X-24 through X-50. Yep, they'd made multiple clones of Laura already, to be activated if needed to. Sarah, horrified at what she had been shown, ordered Laura to destroy the facility, the clones, everything. She succeeded in doing so, but in the process killed Sarah after Rice threw some of the rage trigger on her while escaping. While dying in the snow, Sarah revealed that she was Laura's actual mother and told her to be free and be a normal girl. Laura laid in the snow with her, begging her not to leave her alone. Sometime after her escape from the facility, Laura was captured by Captain America and Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. They questioned her as to who she was and what she was doing in San Francisco, and she recounted her tale from just after the destruction of the facility. As she was pretty much alone, she tried to get further away from her past, but her handler from the base, Kimura, an agent of the facility who was given invulnerable skin and super strength in order to punish and keep Laura in line, was in pursuit after her. Laura managed to lose her in an avalanche and got away to San Francisco. She met Sarah's aunt and cousin, Debbie and Megan, introducing herself to them as Sarah's daughter. They welcomed her with open arms and moved in with them, only for a short time however, as Debbie's boyfriend, Desmond Alexander, was secretly an agent for the facility and recognised who Laura was. Stupidly, he got some of the trigger sent on him and Laura ripped him to pieces. Also, Debbie and Megan got some of it on them as well, so they had to quickly get it off before Laura killed them. Thankfully they did, but Kimura was brought to the house after all the commotion and took Laura down. She snapped her neck, handcuffed her to her arm, and left to take her back to another base. So being clever, Laura cut off her own hand, cuffed Kimura to a gas pipe and then ignited it with a broken light bulb. Now, it didn't kill her, but it allowed Laura enough time to escape. Debbie revealed that Sarah had told her about Laura, but she didn't actually believe it, as she thought Sarah's dad had taken her ability to love any person away. After getting some fake IDs, Laura tearfully says goodbye to her new family and decided that she wanted to end her problems by starting at the source, Wolverine. Now, after finding Logan, she fought against him, pinning him to the ground, ready to kill him, but he managed to convince her out of killing him, and then also killing herself. He says that he knew about her thanks to Sarah sending him a letter before she died. He then offered to help Laura to start over and train her, but then she was captured by Captain America and S.H.I.E.L.D. finishing her story up to that point, where she asked to be sent back to Wolverine. Now, Captain America stated that S.H.I.E.L.D. wanted justice and that the people that she killed would want justice too, whereas Matt called him out on his bullshit and said that S.H.I.E.L.D. would just use her the same damn way. So Captain America let her go, only on the stipulation that she go straight back to Logan. Of course, she didn't actually go back to Logan straight away, she had things to do first. Adrift on the road, Laura finds some work at a nightclub in Mutant Town, a poor area of New York that mutants made their own. She soon establishes a friendship with Jade Parisi, the daughter of a mob boss, and she's set upon some thugs, so Laura defends her new friend, ultimately killing them. This of course gains the attention of the X-Men, who see the killings very similar to Wolverine's past misdeeds, so they decide to go and find the culprit. Confronting her, she reacts angrily to Wolverine being there and attacks them, but she ultimately calms down, asking for their help to find Parisi after she went into hiding. She defeated one of the mob boss's enforcers and assisted the X-Men in clearing up a car crash. After Logan and X-23 have a good long chat, Laura begins to grow protected over him and so decides to enroll at the Xavier Institute. It was also around this time that House of M happened and only 200 mutants were left with their abilities due to the Scarlet Witch. Now, Laura was one of the lucky 200 who kept her powers. She decided to leave the X-Men mansion and go to San Francisco, but is contacted by Logan. He asks her to go back to the mansion as they need to be together at this point. So at first she threw the phone into the sea, but came back to reason and saw that the mansion was under the new leadership of Emma Frost. Now, although Wolverine wanted her there, it aggravated Emma, and even tried to get her to leave by sending her a telepathic vision of her dead mum. Emma then held trials in the form of a free-for-all tournament that would test the young mutants, and those that succeeded would be put on a trainee team of the X-Men. Despite Emma's best efforts to stop her, Laura got through and became a member of the team, after Cyclops pulled rank on Emma when she tried to omit her. The team consists of Rockslide, Dust, Elixir, Helion, Mercury, and the team leader Surge. Laura was grievously injured as her healing factor wasn't working correctly, so Helion forced Emma Frost to unlock his psychic potential. She did so, and in doing so allowed his speed ability so he could get back to the mansion and get her healed up by the mutant Elixir. And again, she managed to save her other teammate Mercury, who was bonding with her at the time when they were attacked by Kimura and some of her minions. Laura was beaten down, and Kimura revealed that the facility were after Mercury and not her. X-23 and Helion go to find the new base after Helion forcefully inserted himself into the mission. They interrogated an agent for information, and once they were finished, Laura shot the agent in the head. Helion obviously quite quick to state that they would never do that again. They infiltrated the facility, ran into Kimura, scuffled with her, and then found Mercury stuck in liquid form within a test tube prison, as her power was that her body became liquid metal and that she could manipulate it to its will. The team were then set upon by genetically mutated predators that were tasked to kill them. The young X-Men are backed into a corner, but are backed up by the other two teams of X-Men who managed to repel the creatures, and Mercury was able to take 2 out of the 3 creatures' metallic skin and absorb it back into her own body, the other one getting away. X-23 chases after Kimura, wanting to put an end to this part of her life for good, and when Kimura tries to kill Laura, Emma Frost wipes the one happy memory that was in Kimura's head and replaced her thoughts with new ones, that she had a new mission of wiping out all agents of the facility, and this sort of allowed Laura and Emma to respect each other slightly. Laura would be involved in some major Marvel events, such as the Quest for Magic Soul, where the demon Belasco disintegrated her but then brought her back to life just to kill her again. He did it over and over again as a sick kind of entertainment. Then, when the Hulk returned after being blasted into space by the Avengers, he attacks the X-Men mansion, and Laura went up against him, and lasted a good while against him, blinding him with one of her foot blades before he threw her through the wall of the mansion, and stated that doing so was quite fun. Sentinels begin attacking the mansion. They are no problem for Laura and Iceman, but Cyclops realises what he has to do. He reforms X-Force, with Wolverine as the new leader, a sort of Black Ops team that will do the jobs that others wouldn't. Upon finding Deathstrike, Logan sets Laura on her, and X-23 makes short work of Deathstrike after removing her cybernetic limbs and claws and shredding her body, at first believing that she'd actually killed her. During another battle during the same day, she saved Logan's life, as if she hadn't, it would have killed him. Now she was on this new team for a reason. The X-Force was a large part of Laura's life. The arcs boosted her character tenfold during the period she was on the team. Logan gave her one chance to quit the team at the beginning, stating that if she didn't, she would go back to being X-23, but she simply said no. She was tasked with killing one man, but her sloppiness got another member of the team captured and severely overdosed on heroin. When Laura made a snide comment about the teammate, Logan reacted angrily and stated that their lives meant nothing as they are fighting to save other mutant lives. They discovered that the Purifiers had reactivated Bastion, a super sentinel of sorts that had been infected by a technovirus. Bastion, having regenerative powers, brought back to life several dead anti-X-Men humans, including William Stryker, Bolivar Trask, and Cameron Hodge. At first it seems like X-Force will track them down and take care of them all, but Cyclops sends them after Vanisher, a powerful teleporter who stole a virus from Mr. Sinister. Elixir and Archangel are added to the team, along with Domino, and after coercing him, Vanisher, they go to the lab he stole the viruses from. However, Hodge infects Laura with the legacy virus, and to prevent herself from infecting the rest of the team, she goes to kill herself. Elixir stops her from doing so and convinces her that her life is worth living. Laura accepted this and she purged the virus from her system with the help of Elixir. She would continue with the X-Force, including going back to a twisted version of the past where she saved another mutant from death, but was captured by the facility yet again. Being clever, she laced the trigger scent into all the sprinklers and started a fire. Kimura is again on hand to try and stop her, but to no avail. They got out of the facility and she has returned to her own time. She is eventually cut from X-Force by Wolverine, as although he acknowledges that she was doing nothing wrong, he states that she has done nothing but follow orders all her life, and it was time for her to follow her own path. While on her journey of self-discovery, she was flanked by Gambit. Sort of a safety precaution, but the two of them were good friends at the time, so it didn't really bother Laura. Together they managed to thwart several villains' plots, and grew stronger together as friends, even meeting Dakan, Logan's son, and foiling another attempt at rebooting the Weapon X program. It is when they arrive in Paris that we see Laura at a more vulnerable point, as they are after a buyer of her own trigger scent. Gambit discovers that Laura is still self-harming, making him call Logan to come to Paris and speak with her personally. So when Logan arrives with Jubilee in tow, Jubilee now a vampire, X-23 nearly killed her, which they have to stop her from doing so. Logan and Laura have a heart-to-heart on the roof, and it gives us some real good advice about how to forget your past when it is littered with so many bad memories. Gambit sticked up for Laura, calling out Logan as to why he treated Jubilee and X-23 differently, to which Logan admitted that he had been a bad role model and wanted to rectify that with X-23, even going so far as to say that he was adopting X-23 as his own daughter. X-23 even helped Jubilee fight her blood addiction by slitting her neck and let Jubilee drink, but in doing so, Jubilee was able to see all the horrible moments of Laura's past, to which forced Jubilee to fight the need against blood. They find the mystery buyer, and the woman throws the trigger scent on civilians in the metro, but with Jubilee, Logan and Gambit's help, they were able to calm Laura down in order to overcome it, with which saw Laura unload on Wolverine, stating that he ruined her life, and he was basically saying he was never going to give up on her. They left Paris with Jubilee and Laura good friends. Laura is then invited to work in Live Avengers Academy by Black Widow, which you can learn more about in my Hazmat character history. However, she didn't need martial arts training as she easily beat Tigra. Then Avengers Arena happened, and we won't really speak about that book as it is very long and convoluted, which merely used just one aspect of Laura's personality over and over again, the trigger scent. So, now we move on to Marvel Now, and we meet her in the all-new X-Men book. The book focuses on the past versions of the X-Men brought to the future by Beast that ended up stuck in the future, so, as of yet, they are still stuck in the future, but they're working as a new X-Men team. They encountered Laura being attacked by Purifiers, to which she was badly hurt and had slight amnesia. They took her back to the bunker, and when she woke up, she was quite hostile towards them all. Young Jean Grey read her mind and saw what had actually happened on Murderworld, and in doing so, reminded Laura of Xavier's death and her hatred towards Cyclops. She agreed to work with the young team, even getting a new costume, and together they took down the Purifiers and stopped them from killing any more mutants. She's even worked with the Guardians of the Galaxy and has gotten together with Angel as a relationship partner. However, during current events, Wolverine has died, and all those who were involved in his life in whatever way have taken it pretty hard. Laura most of all. She leaves the team to go and unleash her frustrations as she is annoyed that Wolverine never taught her what he had promised to teach her, and that they never had a good chance to connect, stating that he was just a man in blue and gold tights. After letting out her rage while clubbing in Canada and confronting some villains, she accepted what had happened, and as her own tribute to Logan, had her parts of her hair dyed blue and gold, stating that he was truly a great person. She carried on with the new X-Men until that came to the end of its tenure. Number 2, she became embroiled in part of a plot of the Wolverines, where several members of Wolverines kind of anthology came together as a team and had to try and stop another group of mutants from dying, as they had never received Wolverine's regeneration powers and they wanted it so badly, so they were being controlled, being able to get that power, and once they were free they were allowed to go their own separate ways. However, that didn't turn out for the better and ended up a lot of people dying and the rest of them kind of, you know, standing in a pool at the end of the story with not really a convincing ending. And number 3, she teamed up with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the all-new X-Men to stop the Black Vortex, where in the end Kitty Pryde and Star-Lord got engaged, which is really cute. So, and then Secret Wars happened, which, as is still going on, we have no idea what the outcome of it will be for Wolverine. We have no idea what the outcome will be for X-23, except we have had the announcement that the all-new, all-different Marvel reboot will have Wolverine returning as X-23. Yes! One of my favourite characters is going to be reprising the roles of one of my most hated characters. Kind of convoluted, but it's really cool. Seeing X-23 don the costume of Wolverine is so deserved and finally has happened, and deservedly so. She is pretty much his heir. She has all his abilities, she has the claws, and she's worthy. She's learnt those lessons that he taught her, more so than any of the other lot. And although we will be getting Logan back in some form of Old Man Logan, that's yet to show how that will incorporate into her world, or whether it's just that world still of the Old Man Logan universe. So we will see how that goes on, but isn't it amazing that we finally get a female Wolverine? This is awesome, this is amazing. And that's kind of the history of X-23. So that is the history of X-23. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think, and if you like the video, do me a massive favour and subscribe. Thanks a bunch, and see you next time, folks.